Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for another Nutters webinar. Sorry, there goes my alarm. We are very excited to have a new speaker with us tonight. Sarah Collins is not only a certified holistic nutritionist, she is a clinical nutritional practitioner. Sorry, that was a mouthful. A sports nutritionist, a yoga teacher, personal trainer, and she's also the co-founder and CEO of Embodied Wellness Company. So without a further ado, I want to introduce and welcome Sarah to our webinar. And just a couple of things before we dive right into the presentation. The webinar is recorded tonight, so we will send out a recording to anybody who missed it or wants to catch it on the replay. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can drop them in either the chat window or the Q&A section. Either one, we'll monitor both, and all questions will be answered at the end. So without further ado, I transfer it over to Sarah. Thanks so much for joining us, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sarah, and today we will be talking all about transitioning off of birth control and supporting your body through that transition. And this is something that I help a lot of clients with, and that Aeryon supplements from Aeryon Wellness, which we will get into, are also really great at supporting. And so without further ado, we will get right into the slideshow. As noted, please save your questions either for the end. I will open up a Q&A, or you can write them in the side. Make sure you have your water. If you want to take notes, feel free, and we will get this party started. So breaking up with hormonal birth control by Aeryon Wellness. So this is a little bit about myself. As noted, I am the co-CEO of Embodied Wellness Co., and our company is framed around making women healthy again. I'm extremely passionate about supporting women and their hormonal health, digestive health, and really just teaching and empowering women how to take care of their body, because there's wellness this, wellness that popping up everywhere. And yet the fact still remains that women are not getting much healthier. And in fact, we are getting sicker and sicker than ever. So we started our company so that we could help educate and empower women how to be the CEO of their own body and really take care of their health from a holistic perspective. And I have many certifications, as you see there. My main practice is focusing on helping women support their hormones. We also do functional lab testing, such as the Dutch test, which is a really great test to give a look into your body's hormones and how your body is metabolizing them. So this is a little bit about Aeryon from Aeryon Wellness and a little behind the scenes of the brand story. So if you haven't met Aeryon before, she's a lovely human, and I'm not just saying that. And she is the founder and CEO of Aeryon Wellness. She's a holistic nutritionist, a trainer, and also an eating disorder recovery coach, which is something that's really close to her heart as well. She has done fitness competitions in the past. So if you've ever seen those girls who go on stage wearing their sparkly little bikinis, looking like fitness models, she used to do those. And a lot of women who go through those competitions end up having some sort of a dysregulated or disordered relationship with food. And Aeryon struggled for a long time with bulimia, and through her own struggles, she became empowered to make a change for herself and also for her daughter. And so through this, she wrote a book, and if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. It's a bestseller called Bulimia to Balance, and she started Aeryon Wellness. So Aeryon Wellness is a company that is all about empowering women with holistic health. So this means that she looks at the whole picture, right? So Aeryon Wellness is a supplement company. However, the actual brand and Aeryon Wellness as a whole is about teaching women through the 5 pillars, which we will get into on the next slide, about how to support their body from a holistic perspective. And yes, supplements are important, but they're only one part of that picture. So Aeryon really started this company stemming partially from her own struggles, but also because she wanted to help empower and teach other women. She was also a top 100 health and wellness influencer, and I will link all of our socials at the end. So if you have not checked her out personally, you should definitely do so. So this is the Aeryon Wellness 5 pillars of holistic health. And holistic health is a term that really gets tossed around a lot on social media. There's like holistic health coaches popping up every time you open your page. And it's important to actually talk about, what does that even mean? What is holistic health? And so this idea of holistic health can be defined in many ways, but really it's looking at the body as a whole. So a lot of the times when we think about supporting our health or supporting our wellness, many people just turn to like, oh, what are you eating? Or if somebody has a problem, they're like, what can I take for that? And we're really, really focused on these small solutions where if we're feeling out of balance, we often want one thing that's really going to get us back to health. But holistic health takes an integrative view of the body. And your body works as this beautiful, dynamic, and interconnected living being. So inside of your body, when you have one issue, it's not just that issue. It's the whole picture that might be affecting or influencing that thing. And so when we want to focus on healing or taking care of our body, we really need to look at the whole picture. And this also stems further than just our biology or what's going on inside of your body. This is what's going on inside of your mind, right? The thoughts that you think, which is the first pillar of holistic health from Aeryon Wellness, because our thoughts have such a huge impact on our body and even our biology, right? Like your cells are listening to the way that you speak to yourself. And especially when we're talking about hormone health or we're talking about healing, your mindset plays such a huge and integral role in that. And it's often overlooked. You could have the best diet in the entire world. You could be taking all of the supplements. You could be working out, doing all the things, sleeping. But if what's going on inside of your mind isn't supporting your healing, we still have a big piece of the puzzle missing. So your mind is a really important part of your healing process, especially when we're taking a holistic view. The next one is the friends you keep. So this is your environment, right? So I might feel really on point, or I might be really, really committed to healing my hormones, let's say. But if I have friends around me who are always asking me to go out drinking or stay out late, or I have a partner who's trying to shove Panago pizza down my mouth every night, it's going to be really, really difficult for me to hold true in my power and to get to where I want to be. And so the friends we keep, right? The influence we have in our environment can either lift us up or hold us back. So the people we keep around us, and also the way that we support or lift up others around us, is part of holistic health. And so even with hormone health, we really need to look at the people around us and if they are moving us closer to where we want to be. The third pillar is movement. Movement is so crucial and so beneficial for our overall health, but especially our hormones, right? So it can actually help with cortisol regulation, which is your stress hormone. It can be really helpful for estrogen detoxification or supporting healthy estrogen levels. It can be really helpful for your insulin regulation, especially. And so moving your body and experiencing that physical movement is an integral part of holistic health as well. Of course, we have nutrition. That is my favorite thing to talk about. What you put in your body is so impactful. I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, you are what you eat, but it is actually quite literal, right? The food we put in our body is sending our body messages, because food can be medicine, but food is also information. You're giving your body nutrients and saying, hey, when I give you this, let's say like vitamin C, I want you to help boost your immune system. So we're feeding our body information, and that information can either be information to heal or information to maybe not go towards the healing side. So nutrition is one of the most powerful things we can do every single day to support our health. And we will chat about that in the webinar today as well. Last but not least, we have supplements. And even if your nutrition or your diet is really on point, most of us can still benefit from supplementation. And there's a lot of reasons for this. They are a little bit more concentrated than the food source. So sometimes you might need to eat more than would be humanly possible of a certain food to get like clinical dose. Our soil quality is also not the best nowadays. Maybe somebody has digestive issues, so they're not able to properly break down their food. And so it is really important to also have proper supplementation to support your body where it might need help. And so these are the 5 pillars of holistic health from Aeryon Wellness. There's also a lot more information on these specific pillars and how you can use them to support your body on their website as well, which I will link at the end. So today's webinar, we are going to discuss birth control as noted. We'll talk a little bit about post-birth control syndrome, what that is, what that means. We'll go through different organs and systems that are affected when you're on hormonal birth control. And then we will, of course, have practical tips for you to help support your body and these systems. And so just going over housekeeping again, any questions you have can be put in the chat. I will also open it up at the end. Water, notes, do what you got to do. Birth control. How many of you, feel free to take yourself off mute or raise your hand, have ever been on some sort of hormonal birth control, whether it be the pill, a hormonal IUD, birth control ring, patch, or shot? I'm seeing all the hands being raised. Awesome. So many of us have been through this experience. If not, this looks almost like everybody has been through this experience. I know I have as well. And this picture that's on the left there, if you open up your box of birth control, if you still have one, this is the side effect list. That is a long list. That's not just one or two things. Like, this is a novel. I mean, most people aren't going to go through reading this, but just even looking at it, I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of things that can happen to your body from being on birth control. So how many of you were started birth control when you were under the age of 18? So maybe that was in high school, maybe that was middle school for some of you, sometime before you were 18 years old. Yeah, so quite a few of us. And when you were maybe introduced to birth control, maybe you were the one who wanted to get on it, maybe your doctor wanted you to go on it for some reason. Everyone has different reasons for going on it. How many of you were actually opened up to the discussion that there might be potential side effects or there might be some harm done to your body from going on birth control? 3 people out of everybody who raised their hand, right? So this is a very small percentage, very, very small. And when we're talking about taking any sort of medication, birth control, not birth control, whatever you're taking, we always want to be able to make an empowered choice. And that empowered choice doesn't mean that you would have chosen to not be on it. It might have meant you might have chosen not to be on it, but it at least meant that you knew and you understood how the thing that you were putting in your body might affect you both positively and maybe in a not so awesome way, right? And this is how we give women autonomy over their body. I will give you the information, I will give you the explanation, and it's up to you to be the boss and the CEO of your own body and decide what's right for you. But unfortunately, that isn't the case with birth control a lot of the time. And many women are being put on birth control when they're at an age that they might not understand, right? When I was going on birth control, when I was in high school, I was like, this is pretty cool, right? I went there, they were like, oh, it will help regulate your periods. I was like, awesome, sounds great. I went on it. I had no freaking clue about any of this. I had no clue the effect it was going to have on me later on. And if I did, even at that age, I might not have made a different decision, right? And so we really need to be educating women on what this is doing to their body and be teaching them about other ways. Because a lot of women, if they were opened up to the fact that, maybe there are some other ways to prevent pregnancy, they might have chosen those other options. But I remember when I was in high school and I went on it, I thought, you could always get pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I even let a boy near me, I'm going to get pregnant. So I better take this pill, which will save me from any negative thing that could happen to me, because we just don't know, right? And so it is important to open our daughters, our friends, our cousins, whatever, up to this conversation of female health. And this is why I know Aeryon's brand as well, Aeryon Wellness, is very passionate about empowering women through holistic health. And this is what it is, teaching and empowering women about their body so they can understand it and make choices that are best for them. All right, so what are we even talking about? What even is birth control? So technically, if you are not actively trying to get pregnant and you are doing something to not get pregnant, you are practicing some sort of birth control, right? Even abstaining from sex is technically birth control. So by definition, birth control refers to the practice of preventing unwanted pregnancies. So this could be condoms, this could be pull-out method, this can be hormonal contraceptives. But for today's discussion, when I refer to birth control, I'm specifically talking about hormonal contraceptives. So the most common one would be the pill. It's a little pill like this that you take, and it has hormones in it that would prevent pregnancy. So there are different categories of birth control. There's type 1, 2, and 3. Today's discussion is on type 3, which includes all pills, implants, patches, and vaginal rings. So these are the ones that you're administering yourself, exogenous, which just means outside of the body, hormones inside of your body, which suppresses ovulation to prevent pregnancy. So birth control is not a panacea, and a panacea means a fix-all, a one-size-fits-all solution for everything. And here you have a woman who's by her car, and she's very sad. Her car might not start. Maybe she doesn't know how to turn it on. And this is the analogy I always use with women. So I have a lot of clients that have PCOS, and many women are put onto birth control to quote unquote fix or help or solve their period problems. When you go on hormonal birth control, it is not fixing or healing your cycle. What it's doing is shutting it down completely. So if I had car troubles and my car was making weird noises or it was really clunky, whatever goes on, I'm not a car person, and somebody suggested to me, Sarah, why don't you just try never starting your car? What do you think the likelihood that I would be like, oh, what, that's a great idea. Yes, let's do that. I just will walk everywhere for the rest of my life, no problem, right? But this is essentially what we're doing in our body. We go to our doctor with an issue. Hey, my period is very irregular. Hey, I have extremely painful periods. Hey, I'm bleeding for 14 days out of the month. And your body and your doctor says to you, well, why don't you just take this pill that will stop your cycle altogether? But they don't phrase it like that, but that's essentially what it's doing, right? So this may not seem like an issue, it might even seem great at the time. If you're really suffering with painful periods, some women are like, please just help me and make it stop. But the issue with this is that later on, when you come off the pill, maybe when you want to have children, these issues are still going to be there, right? They weren't solved, they weren't fixed, and sometimes they're even worse. Often they are once you transition off. And if we don't address these issues in the beginning, or we don't address these issues at all, and we try to cover them up, this is going to come back during menopause, perimenopause, right? We need to be having healthy cycles. It also prevents ovulation. And so ovulation is actually the main event of a menstrual cycle. The bleed just happens because you ovulate, unless it's a withdrawal bleed. So ovulation, which is where we release an egg, is the whole point of a menstrual cycle. And every time we ovulate as a female, we're putting a little deposit into our health bank, right? So every time we ovulate, we're protecting our bone health, we're protecting our cognitive health, we're protecting our hormonal health and balance as a female. So when we aren't doing this, we're really at risk for issues like dementia, diabetes, low progesterone, painful periods, PMS, all of these other things. And so it really is not, it's not solving anything. It's not fixing anything. It's just stopping the process altogether, and actually 99% of the time causing more issues that are just being maxed by a Band-Aid solution, which will later on come back in some way, shape, or form. The other thing to note about birth control is that the bleed that you have while you're on birth control is not actually a period. And so again, as I mentioned, the period or the bleed that you would experience off of hormonal birth control is a result of ovulation and the end of a cycle. They actually put the sugar pills into hormonal birth control when they were coming out with it, so that they could make women feel quote unquote normal. So this is called a withdrawal bleed, and it is not actually a true period. So if you were on birth control for 10 years, just having your little sugar pill bleeds, that means you haven't had a true cycle in about 10 years. So as you can imagine, right, this is part of our biology as a female. So this can be really, really problematic when our body isn't going through one of the processes that it's meant to go through, right? This period is a release, it's a cycle. And so we have all of this trapped energy in our body, and your body, once you come off of it, has to relearn how to go through that motion and relearn how to go through that process. So I'm gonna hit you with the cold, hard facts. I would love to preface by saying that if you are somebody who knew everything about birth control and you still made the decision for your body and that's what was best for you at the time, all the power to you, sis, right? Like, it is important to recognize and respect the fact that with birth control came a lot of autonomy for female and women in their bodies, right? Especially if you go back to around the time that it came out, it gave women more empowerment and a decision whether or not they wanted or were ready to start a family. And so there are some positive things that have come out of birth control. It also is great at preventing pregnancy. Who would have thought, right? What it's supposed to do. So it is good at preventing pregnancy. Yes, there are other options. They might be better for your body, which looks different for everyone. But there are also a lot of detriments or harm that can come from hormonal birth control. So we will go through these as we go throughout our slides, but just to name a few, it can actually decrease your libido, which is pretty, not like funny, but pretty ironic because a lot of women go on it to prevent pregnancy. It negatively impacts your liver functioning. It depletes your vitamins and minerals, puts you at an increased risk of diabetes, breast and cervical cancer, can lead to digestive issues such as leaky gut, SIBO, inflammatory bowel disease. And I think that the stat is that it puts you at a 300 times greater risk for Crohn's disease, puts you at an 80% greater risk for depression. It can lead to hormonal imbalances such as estrogen dominance, low progesterone, and prevents ovulation, as we chatted about before. Lots of little goodies in there, hey? Good times, good times. So this is post-birth control syndrome. And the idea, or this term, came from one of my favorite practitioners, Dr. Jolene Brighton. She has a whole book on transitioning off hormonal birth control, which is also a really amazing resource. And so this idea of post-birth control syndrome is, as I mentioned, if you haven't been having a period for 10 years or however long you were on birth control, and there's lots of little things going on that birth control is making happen in your body, such as the things we'll discuss in the upcoming slides, we have a lot going on under the surface that is being masked by this pill. And so once we come off of the pill, all of these things start to bubble up and rise to the surface. And we have a little bit of a SHIT storm coming up in our body. And every woman's experience is different coming off of birth control. Some women just stop cold turkey and they feel fine, Gucci, everything's gravy. Some women have lots of symptoms, but your body's essentially going through a period of getting rid of the exogenous hormones in your body, relearning how to go through a cycle. And some of the issues that were being suppressed while you were on the pill might start to bubble up to the surface. So this is called post-birth control syndrome. Some other things you might experience is post-pill amenorrhea. Amenorrhea means missing period. So some women actually come off and they don't get a period right away as their body starts to rebalance. They are not experiencing ovulation or menstrual cycles. Some common symptoms are headaches, anxiety, and mood swings, depression, acne, hypothyroidism, infertility, and gut-based issues. It can take about 9 months to regulate your cycle after stopping. And ideally, if you were coming off of birth control and you were hoping to get pregnant or have a baby, you would have at least 1 year or 12 months between the time you stop and the time that you try to conceive. So this gives your body enough time to rebalance, recalibrate, and prepare for pregnancy. As I noted, when you are on birth control, it's also depleting your vitamins and minerals. So it also gives your body a chance to build up those nutrient stores as well. So this diagnosis, or post-birth control syndrome, is a big reason why it's really important to start supporting your body before you come off of birth control with all of the things that we'll chat about, so that you have a nice smooth transition and that you lessen or completely eliminate any of the symptoms that might have otherwise come up. Transitioning off of the pill. So we're going to go through different organs and systems that are affected while you're on the pill, and we'll talk about ways to support them as we go through. Ideally, 2 months or longer before you come off the pill is when you would want to start thinking about supporting your body. Some really general ones that we're not going to get too much into that probably help with almost everything are reducing stress, supporting your digestive health and detox organs, using smart supplements, and optimizing your nutrition, which we will chat about. So this is a little graphic. We're not going to go through all of these today, otherwise we would be here for a long, long time. But we're going to go through some of these. But this little graphic just goes to show the impact, the whole impact that birth control has on your body. So again, the body is so dynamic, everything is connected. So this little pill that we take, that we think is only for one thing, it has a huge effect on everything else. We have this phrase in holistic health where it's like one thing affects everything. So we really need to always be considering yourself as a whole, taking a holistic perspective whenever we're thinking about taking any sort of pill, supplement, medication, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to open up the floor and see if anybody has come off of birth control, maybe in the past, or you're thinking about it and has experienced any symptoms while coming off of birth control, or had any major symptoms pop up while they were on the pill. And feel free to unmute yourself and just share. You can write it in the chat. You can raise your hand. Not all at once now. Okay, so I will share one. When I came off of birth control, I experienced a lot of breakouts on my skin. The reason being for that is that there's these little oil glands that are in our skin called sebum, which produce oil. And when we're on the pill, it downregulates them. So that's why sometimes you'll see the pill prescribed to women for acne. And so then once you come off, there's a rebound effect where your body's like, well, we better produce a little bit extra of that because it's been being suppressed. So I experienced a lot of acne. I experienced a lot of mood disorders while I was on the pill. So I would consider myself a pretty positive person and pretty even keel, usually generally happy and full of energy. And I was definitely not as much like that while I was on the pill. Another little fun fact kind of thing is that it actually, when you're on hormonal birth control, studies have shown that it will impact the partner you choose. So there's been a couple stories where women have been on the pill and they've been attracted to their partner, and then they come off and they weren't attracted anymore. But don't be scared. If you have a boyfriend or a husband or fiance right now and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to change my life, don't be scared. There are some studies, but again, everybody's experience is really different, and love is love. It's not always about the way you look. So first we're going to chat about the liver. And the liver is an unsung hormone hero. The liver does not get enough praise for the hundreds of jobs that your liver is out here doing. Your liver is like the mother of your body. You know how moms, they are really doing everything. They never get a break. They plan dinner, cook, clean, pick up, they're the snack dealer, they're all these things and they don't get enough praise. That's like the liver in your body. So if you're a mom, you're listening to this, you're like, I feel you on that one. So it truly is the true MVP of hormone balance. Your liver is a key part of your metabolism. It is a key part of detoxification, nutrient absorption, blood sugar balance, and immune function. So when we have hormones in our body, so let's say I have excess estrogen, and estrogen is one of your female sex hormones, and it's all floating around and my body wants to get rid of it. It has to first be processed through the liver so that it can turn into a form where my body can get rid of it. Same thing goes when you take hormones that are from the pill, or you take any sort of medication. You have toxins in your bloodstream, your body wants to get rid of them, they have to first go through your liver, the gatekeeper, to take it out. So your liver is doing a lot of work. And if you think about how many toxins we're exposed to, even in our environment as a female, your makeup, stuff you put in your hair, your perfume, all of these things, your liver has to process that once it gets inside your body. And so, especially when you've been taking exogenous hormones, like on hormonal birth control, your liver is really working on overdrive. She's really doing the most. She's out here working overtime. And so we really need to support your liver so that it can function effectively and efficiently. And many people experience sluggish liver nowadays because of the total load of toxins we have in our environment. So especially when you're taking exogenous hormones, really, really important to support your liver to make sure that it's able to get rid of all of the toxins and all of the excess hormones that are in your bloodstream, which helps you to feel really good and not experience any issues of toxic overload. So again, it's especially important when you're talking about estrogen detox and detoxification. You will sometimes hear people on social media, I know I've seen this, say, you don't need to do detoxing because your liver does a pretty good job at that. But really, everybody's liver needs support. So yes, your liver does an amazing job at detoxification. I do a good job at talking a lot. If I was to talk for 45 hours straight, my talking job would not be that great. Same with your liver, right? Everybody has a threshold. Yes, it does a great job. And at the same time, it can also be overloaded. So does anybody know or can say a few symptoms of what a sluggish liver, is what we call it, would look like? So I will give you a few. A really common sign of a sluggish liver are skin rashes. So this could be eczema, this could be just a general rash, really itchy skin. Acne is another really common one. Generally having brain fog is another one. Headaches are another one. So these are all signs that your liver might need a little bit of love and support. So how does this really connect to the pill? So again, as I mentioned, detoxifying the excess hormones that we have in our body when we're on hormonal birth control, it really adds stress to your liver. So this also, there's been studies that have shown that this puts you at a much higher risk for developing benign liver tumors and potentially liver cancer. Another thing that birth control does to your liver is it can alter some of the genes in the liver. And again, genes are and gene expression is what tells different cells what to do essentially. And so it can tell your liver to produce more sex hormone binding globulin. So as the name suggests, sex hormone binding globulin is this little thing that floats around in your bloodstream, and it binds onto hormones and it helps them to transport. When we have free hormones in the body, so let's say I have estrogen and it's in my bloodstream and it's just chilling, it can make its way to one of my cells, bind to the cell, and then have its estrogenic effects. If it binds to sex hormone binding globulin, this can alter the amount of hormone I have in my body that's available to do its job. And so specifically with birth control, this really affects testosterone. And yes, women do have testosterone. It's what helps us get muscle gains. It's what helps us have a good, strong, and robust sex drive. And so it really is important as a female. So this can be, testosterone can be decreased when you're on hormonal birth control if you are producing more sex hormone binding globulin, because it will be binding to your testosterone, so your body can't use it. So this is one way that it would affect your liver, which then affects your hormone health, because everything is connected, and therefore lower your libido. Some women will also experience more muscle fatigue, difficulty gaining muscle, and changes to body composition as well. So how will we support our liver? So regardless of whether or not you're on hormonal birth control, I think that everybody should be giving your liver some love. So a really great way is to eat fiber-rich foods. So some examples of fiber-rich foods would be apples, beans, berries, avocados, lots of the things that you see in this beautiful photo here. Cruciferous vegetables are also really great. So these are things that are like the hard, crunchy guys that often make people fart. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, and they're especially special because they increase your liver's natural detoxification enzymes. They help to protect your liver from damage, and they can improve your blood levels of liver enzymes. So these types of vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, very, very helpful and therapeutic, especially for hormone health and liver support as a female. So we will get a little bit more into the supplements when we talk about them at the end of the slide, but a couple different supplements that support your liver, which we will come back to exactly what they are and what they do, are N-acetylcysteine, glutathione, quercetin, calcium D-glucarate, and DIM, which you can also find in broccoli and cruciferous vegetables. So we'll chat a little bit more about them at the end of the slides, as I mentioned, but specifically with your nutrition, a great way to support your liver health is, again, eating fiber-rich foods and also making sure that you're including cruciferous vegetables. As we noted, your liver can get overloaded by toxins in your environment. So another way that we can look at our environment to support our body, so again, taking this holistic perspective, is to reduce our toxic load. The hell does that mean? So reducing our toxic load essentially just means cutting back on the toxins we have in our environment. So let's say you're using L'Oreal mascara. Maybe next time your mascara runs out, you go to look for a natural one. If you want to write down and you're taking notes, a really great resource, there's an app called Think Dirty, and it's a beautiful app. I love it. You would essentially just scan a product or search it up, and they'll give you a rating on how toxic, the toxin load in that product, and they'll show you the ingredients that are safe and the ingredients that are maybe harmful. So if you're unsure how to start cutting back on your toxic load, that's a really great app where you can start to look up your products and see how the toxins in those products might be affecting you. So the next system that is really affected and is also a huge player and a huge part of our hormonal health is your microbiome and your digestive health. So as humans, this is a pretty cool fact. We're actually outnumbered bacteria to human cells 10-1. So technically, I'm more bacteria than I am human. So we have lots of bacteria in our body and on our body, and it plays a huge role in our overall health. So gut health in general is becoming this really big topic, and it's also becoming one of the most researched topics. Your gut is now being called your second brain. They've actually dedicated a whole division of your nervous system called your enteric nervous system, which is your gut nervous system. So this is really important. And there's lots of different ideologies that believe that all disease and all imbalances begin in the gut. And it really is true, right? So your gut health supports your immune system. It supports your hormonal health. It gives your body the ability to actually break down nutrients and absorb your food, which then gives your cells the energy and the nutrients that they need to function optimally. So when our gut health is off, this can lead to a lot of different imbalances. Some common ones are excess estrogen, because we need to be having daily bowel movements in order to clear the excess estrogen from our body. So if we're not, we're at risk for high estrogen. Obviously, the immediate issues such as bloating, gas, constipation. We could start to experience PMS, brain fog, higher risk of breast cancer, mood imbalances, just to name a few. And quite honestly, if you've ever suffered with digestive issues, when your digestion is off, everything is off. You don't feel your best. You're not feeling like $1,000,000 when your gut health isn't great. So this is a huge part of our overall health, and it can be really affected from hormonal birth control. How, you say? Well, let me tell you. So birth control disrupts your gut flora. So essentially inside of our stomach, we have this community, right? This colony of bacteria. And sometimes people will say like good guys and bad guys, but essentially we have different strains that all have different functions. Some of them are very supportive. Some of them, when they're out of balance, might not be very supportive. So when we're taking hormonal birth control, it actually can dysregulate the balance of good guys to bad guys. And it creates an environment that allows for overgrowth of harmful bacteria and yeast. So some things that might look like if you were experiencing SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, Candida, dysbiosis, can all occur from hormonal birth control because it's affecting the balance of bacteria in your gut, which can lead to issues. These things are not fun. I actually had SIBO while I was on the pill, and I was like 6 months pregnant, bloated all of the time. I couldn't eat anything. I had a list of foods that was like yay long, and those were the only foods that I would eat. Otherwise, my body was like, nope, we are not doing that today. So it's really not fun stuff, and it can be impacted when you're on hormonal birth control. As noted, it can also inflame the digestive tract. So when we have digestive inflammation, this can manifest as a lot of different symptoms. It also increases the risk of autoimmune disease, and birth control will also increase your risk of intestinal permeability. So this is often referred to as leaky gut. And essentially your gut has this lining around it, and it's held together with really tight junctions. And so when those junctions start to separate or experience leaky gut, things that are supposed to be in your bloodstream are passing through. Things that are undigested food particles can also then pass from your stomach into your bloodstream, which of course signals inflammation and an immune system response. And there's been lots of studies that have shown the correlation between taking hormonal birth control and leaky gut or intestinal permeability. And so that can also cause a lot of issues, both with your gut as well as your immune system and your overall health, inflammation levels, all the good stuff. And so this can also manifest as food sensitivities, getting sick all of the time, IBS. And as noted, there is the stat, you have a 300% increase of developing Crohn's if you take the pill. That is huge. That is huge. And really, like, I know I've said this, I'm going to say it again. Gut health is the basis of your entire health as a whole. And this is so important. So I've seen a lot with clients and with women I chat with that when they come off of birth control, their gut health improves so much. And they thought they had all of these issues. Oh, I've had them forever. But really, it was what they were taking was impacting that. And it can take a little while to rebalance your gut flora once you've come off of it, but it is one of the best things you can do if you're experiencing digestive issues. So tied to your microbiome is your vaginal microbiome. So your vagina actually has a microbiome of its own. It also has bacteria. And so this is primarily dominated by a strain called lactobacilli. You don't really need to know that, but our microbiome of our vagina can also become out of balance. And that's what we call bacterial vaginosis. So this is when the good guys, which would be lactobacilli, start to decline, and it throws off the ratio. So again, this can be influenced by the pill. There's been lots of studies that again show the link between taking hormonal birth control and bacterial vaginosis. And there are also other factors such as nutrition and dietary choices. And we are super excited that in the coming months, we are going to have this awesome supplement up and away, which will help support vaginal health and is for bacterial vaginosis. And will really open up the discussion because I have found in practice that it is something that many women deal with. And it's kind of a little bit of a taboo topic to start to discuss, right? Like I have clients and they're very like, oh yeah, and like sometimes the smell, like my vagina doesn't have the best odor. And it's such a taboo topic. And we really should normalize having this discussion. And again, give women the education and empower them to understand what's going on in their body and how to support it. And so on the right side, you'll see some different symptoms and signs that might be indicative of bacterial vaginosis. And this can also be impacted again by the birth control pill. So how do we start to support our gut and vaginal health? My loves, I could talk about this for 48 hours, as I mentioned. I could talk about it for a long time. There's so much we can do to support our gut health and vaginal health. And there's truly a lot going on, right? Digestion is a lot of different processes, systems, pieces that all come together to do their part. But here we will talk about some of the key drivers or some general ways that you can start to support your digestive health. So number one, feed your gut nutrients for optimal health and functioning. Your gut loves fiber. Loves, loves, loves. If you start to do any sort of research on supporting gut health, general gut health, they will tell you eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, specifically around 37 a week. How many of you are just like 37? My love, I'll be happy to get 7 in a week. So really, we do need this beautiful diversity of produce and of different types of plant fibers in order to support our gut health. So you don't have to sit there and count like 1, 2, 3 when you're writing your grocery list. Just do your best to eat a wide variety. That could mean something different to you. If right now you're eating like maybe the same 4 fruits and veggies on repeat, maybe next time you branch out to like 6 or 7, right? Start small and build from there. Fermented foods are also really great. So when we eat fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kefir, kimchi, they have bacteria on the food and we eat it and it helps to line our digestion with that bacteria, which is really beneficial. Supports, again, microbiome diversity. Bone broth is a really great one. And then there are some supplement supports such as glutamine, zinc, omega-3s, and N-acetylcysteine that can be helpful. Another big part is figuring out what's going on if you're having issues. So GI map testing is really great. It gives you a breakdown of all the strains of bacteria in your gut. If you are experiencing chronic issues, it might be a good idea to get tested. If your digestion is just like kind of off, it's a good idea to start with the general supports. Even if you have chronic digestive issues, it's a good idea to start with the basics, see how far that takes you, and then see if you need further assessment. Another really impactful way to support your gut health is eliminating inflammatory foods from your diet. So this includes foods that you're sensitive to. If you eat something and your body tells you, no, not today, then that's probably a good sign you're not digesting it very well. You should maybe eat a little less of it. Doesn't mean you have to completely cold turkey it if you don't want to, but we do need to be mindful of what does and doesn't make us feel good. This also includes highly processed foods, so Oreos, cakes, chips. I know, I love them too. And processed oils or inflammatory oils. So those are things like canola, vegetable, grapeseed oil, peanut oil, soybean oil. Pretty much any vegetable or seed oil will not be the greatest for your gut health. Next would be supporting digestive resources and absorption of nutrients. So these are things like digestive enzymes, digestive bitters, HCl, which is essentially precursor to stomach acid, and then reducing stress. And then lastly is supporting your microbiome diversity and health. So this can be things like probiotic, fermented foods, avoiding pesticides, and eating a diversity of produce. So lots of information on that slide, very general. Make sure you're eating a diverse array of produce. Consider taking fermented foods or a probiotic and cutting back on the processed foods you eat. Focus more on whole foods. So let's talk about nutrients. So when we're on birth control, it can deplete a lot of our body's nutrients. And nutrients and minerals are a really overlooked part of hormonal health. So I always say that minerals are like spark plugs. They get the party started, they get things going. They are what we need in order for our cells and our body to function optimally and to really thrive. So when we have mineral or nutrient depletions that happen while we're on hormonal birth control, this can have reaching effects on you, your hormones, and your body. And it's difficult to go through every single, not difficult, but we would be here for a long time if we were to go through every single nutrient, every single vitamin and mineral in our body and what it looks like if that is depleted. But so it can have a different effect on different people. Some of the big ones that you'll often see are stuff like headaches, just overall hormone imbalances, low energy, fatigue, poor digestion, and infertility is another big one as well. So restoring mineral status is key, both while you're on the pill, once you're off the pill, and just for everyone. We all need vitamins and minerals. We should always be thinking about eating mineral and nutrient dense foods and getting in the nutrients that our body needs. But wait, there's more. So birth control also negatively impacts other systems of your body. So thyroid health is a really big one. Sometimes you will actually see women who experience hypothyroidism when they come off of the pill, not necessarily because of like their body, but because of the effects of hormonal birth control. Because when you're on birth control, it reduces your thyroid hormone output, meaning your body is making less thyroid hormone, and it also decreases cellular sensitivity. So very general how most hormones work in the body is that something would secrete the hormone, something produces it, it floats around in your bloodstream, and it is able to bind to cells that have the hormone receptor. So once the hormone binds to the cell, it would have the effect. And so your actual cell needs to be able to respond to the hormone when it gets there, like, hello, can you hear me knocking on the door? And so what can happen when you're on birth control is it impacts your cell's ability to respond to thyroid hormone. So even if somebody has quote unquote normal levels of thyroid hormone in the blood, it doesn't always mean that your cells are able to receive that hormone or the hormone's able to work and affect that cell. Another thing that it does is drive insulin. It impacts insulin regulation and can drive insulin resistance. So this one is pretty ironic because a lot of women who experience PCOS, if you've never heard of that, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome. And the name can kind of throw things off a little bit because you don't necessarily need to have ovarian cysts in order to have PCOS. One of the most common symptoms or factors of PCOS is insulin resistance. And so when you give somebody a pill that can worsen insulin resistance, when insulin resistance is one of the main things driving their problems, it's not going to work that well, right? And so it is kind of ironic that that's the case, but even for maybe someone who is not in the best metabolic health, changes, or anyone really, changes to your insulin regulation can have a huge impact on all of your other hormones. It also can drive inflammation. And I know inflammation is like this really big word that gets thrown around all of the time. But essentially, inflammation is like your body sending out alarm systems like, hello, something is off. Please do something about this. So if I was to be sitting here giving this chat right now, trying to do my job or my duty, and I had an alarm going off this whole time, how well would I be able to give this presentation? Not very well. I would be getting pretty peed off if that was happening. So if your body is always sending alarm signals, it impacts everybody's ability to do their job inside of your body. It can also impact your adrenal health. So adrenals are these little glands and they secrete different hormones. One of them is cortisol, which we also often hear called the stress hormone. So one of cortisol's many jobs is to squash inflammation. So if your body is inflamed, your adrenals go, inflammation, let's produce cortisol, let's pump it out so that it can tone down the inflammation. So if we're chronically inflamed and your body is always producing cortisol, you're in a chronically elevated, stressed out state, which over time can lead to issues such as HPA axis dysfunction, which is better known as adrenal fatigue. Being on birth control can also increase your risk of heart attacks, stroke, blood clots, and depression. So not fun, not very fun. And then we'll chat a little bit about sex drive. So we talked about this briefly before, and it is pretty ironic how it can lead to loss of interest in sex, reduced arousal, painful sex, difficulty achieving orgasms, and more. And this is another taboo topic. Women often feel like when their sex drive isn't great, or when they have issues with arousal or issues having orgasms, it's a them problem. What's wrong with me? Am I the drama? What's like, we always think that it's us that's the issue. And so it's important to know different factors that might be affecting that. And so if you're experiencing painful sex or reduced arousal or difficulty orgasming, it's not you. It could be birth control that you're on, or a long list of other factors. But it is important to open up this discussion because it's not something that a lot of women openly discuss with others or with their practitioners. So women who are on the pill are 32% more likely to experience female sexual dysfunction. It also suppresses two hormones called FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, which is luteinizing hormone, which are the two hormones that are really important in telling your body to ovulate or to release the egg. Again, it increases sex hormone binding globulin, which impacts your testosterone. And orgasms are also a really important part of female health. Orgasms have a lot of medicinal benefits for females. So the inability to orgasm or lack of orgasms can impact our hormone health as a female too. Get your orgasms in, my ladies. So those are just some big ways that hormonal birth control can impact your body, right? So it is affecting a lot of the symptoms that are huge drivers of our overall health, and especially our hormone health as a female. So it's not just preventing pregnancy. It's not just hiding your symptoms. It also has this big effect on other systems of your body. So when should we start to support ourselves? Let's say that I was still on hormonal birth control and I listened to this webinar and I was like, this girl has some good points. I think that it might be a good idea for me to start considering coming off. You would ideally want to start a minimum of 2 months or more before coming off. If you are going to be transitioning into a more natural form of birth control, such as fertility awareness method, you would also want to start practicing tracking your cycle in an app, on your phone, on a calendar, so that you're starting to understand and you're getting practice at tracking your cycle, which is an important part of managing your fertility once you're off the pill. So after you transition off, let's say you start supporting your body 3 months before, you go through all the things we discussed in this slide, you start on the supplements that we're about to chat about, and then you transition off. So then you would essentially be looking at your body's response. So let's say I go through everything and I come off the pill and I have acne, like I did, or I have post-pill amenorrhea, so my period is missing, no clue where it went. So then I would start to take a deep dive into those two things, right? So we might talk about all of these different subjects, but after you transition off and you do the general supports, you're essentially looking at what your body needs, which means you don't have to attack every single thing or take every single supplement that we chat about. Once you do the general supports, you can figure out what your body is still missing, what your body needs as an individual, consider maybe doing some lab work to figure it out if it is causing you a lot of issues, and then move from there. So we're going to talk now a little bit about supplements and just some more supports to tie all of this information together. So first, let's do a recap. If anyone wants to hop off of mute or write in the chat 1 or 2 things that we've chatted about that would be supportive for your body if you wanted to transition off of birth control. Feel free to share. I know I said I love talking, but I also love listening. So if anyone wants to share, either in the chat or otherwise. No, not all at once now. All right.
Actually, Sarah, I have one. What about gut health?
Yeah, gut health is a great one. And it's very, very important. And we are going to chat about it as well. I noticed when I was, as I mentioned, when I was on birth control, I did have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which impacted my ability to really do everything, to think in school, to digest food, to feel confident in my body, my energy levels, my ability to work out. So yes, that is a huge, huge one. Thank you for sharing. So these are some of the main ones that we discussed. And some of the ones we will also get into will be supporting your body to relearn how to go through a cycle. So let's talk about supporting detoxification. So this stems back both to gut health and to your liver. So we need these two this organ and this system to be working together to be able to get things that are not supposed to be in our body anymore out of our body. And so Reset, as we have right here by Aeryon Wellness, is a formulation that is specifically made to support women coming off of birth control. How awesome. And I'm not just saying this, that when I first saw Aeryon's supplement line, and I'm not easily impressed, I'll tell you that. I'm pretty picky. I'm a big person who like researches the crapola out of everything. And I was very impressed with this formulation because of course I also study female health and female hormones, and the way that all of the different constituents of this supplement come together is really so beautiful in supporting your body. So it hits a lot of the things that we've already chatted about in an integrative way, in a holistic way within the supplement. So I was super stoked. I recommend this to a lot of my clients, and many of my clients have seen amazing benefit from it. So again, when we're on the pill, we're adding extra hormones to our body, so it's essential to make sure that we're supporting our systems to be able to metabolize those hormones and excrete them so that they're not building up in our body. If I was taking estrogen or progesterone, let's say every single day, and my body was never metabolizing it, I'm going to come across some issues. So this is really important. So I'm just going to take you through some of the different parts of, or I guess all of the different ingredients of this supplement and why they are important and how they might help your body, because education and empowerment are key. So Vitex, also known as Chastery, helps to increase luteinizing hormone and progesterone. So this is a very supportive supplement for helping with ovulation. So if you've been on birth control and you haven't been ovulating, chances are you have low progesterone. We need to be ovulating for our body to make enough progesterone. And so when you come off of birth control, as your body is relearning how to cycle, and you're also trying to kind of build your progesterone from the effects that birth control had, Vitex is a really beautiful and incredible supplement for that. It is probably like one of the most recommended hormone supplements, I'm going to say, like ever for low progesterone. Super incredible. Resveratrol is an antioxidant, so it helps to support phase 2 liver detoxification. So again, when we have hormones in our body, they have to go through your liver in order to be turned into a form that can be excreted. So resveratrol is really great at helping support your liver to excrete excess estrogen. Milk thistle is another beautiful supplement that helps to support your liver health. N-acetylcysteine, we chatted about that briefly for both your liver and your gut health. It also improves mood, fertility, and your digestive functioning. B vitamins and folate. So B vitamins are so crucial for our overall health, our energy levels, our hormonal health, and they are one of the vitamins that are really depleted when we're on birth control. So folate is also another one that is crucial for our fertility, and it is depleted on the pill. So folic acid or folate is included in the supplement as well. And then vitamin B6, which is one vitamin that I often recommend to clients for PMS. It can also be really helpful for building up your B6 stores that are depleted while in birth control. And low levels of B6 can have an impact again on your insulin and increase your risk of stroke. So this beautiful blend is really helping your body's hormones come back to balance. So we're supporting progesterone, which has likely been very low while you're on the pill. And we're also helping your body flush out excess estrogen. And when we throw out this word hormone balance, it's kind of like, I once read a post where someone's like, hormone balance isn't a thing because your hormone levels are always fluctuating. And I was like, my girl, come on. But hormone balance is this idea that we need all of our little hormone players to be in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. So estrogen and progesterone are fluctuating throughout your cycle and they work synergistically. So if my estrogen levels are normal, but my progesterone levels are low, I still have imbalance. If my progesterone levels are normal, but my estrogen levels are high, I still have imbalance. And so we really want to be supporting both boosting progesterone as well as detoxifying estrogen to come back to this beautiful baseline of balance. Reclaim is the next supplement, which helps to support, again, healthy estrogen levels and detoxification. So this is a really beautiful one for anyone who's experiencing PMS. It also is really great for anyone who experiences excess estrogen symptoms from being on the pill. It's also really great for just helping to support your cycle if you've been feeling like maybe you're not having the most awesome symptomless cycles, because it is helping with a lot of different issues or common symptoms that many women experience, such as mood, painful breasts, painful periods, with some of the ingredients that are listed in this supplement. So I'm going to take you through the two different parts of the label. So the first little blend at the top is Estrogen Balancing Support Complex. And we've already chatted about why it's important to have estrogen in balance. And these are also going to stem back to some of the things that we've chatted about earlier. So calcium D-glucarate helps with liver detoxification and helps your body to eliminate estrogen and detoxify from it. So this is a really beautiful supplement that will help support both your liver as well as your estrogen levels. It also contains green tea extract, which is really supportive for weight management. Typically, when a woman is experiencing excess estrogen, it often, but not always, will also come with some weight gain. For females, that typically is around the abdomen, hip area, sometimes in the upper arms as well. Green tea extract is really helpful for that. It also supports blood sugar regulation. It can help prevent against some diseases. It's great for liver health and exercise recovery. Then we have broccoli sulforaphane. I always trip over that word, but today I nailed it, which is an antioxidant, antimicrobial, anti-aging, and neuroprotective. So as I discussed, when we are ovulating, when we're ovulating as a female, we're protecting our brain health. When we aren't ovulating, like when we're on the pill, we're at higher risk of cognitive issues such as dementia. And so having this supplement, broccoli sulforaphane, is really, really helpful for preserving your cognitive health, as well as supporting your overall liver health and detoxification. DIM is a beautiful supplement, which I listed under the liver supports as well, which supports your body in processing estrogen into safe metabolites. What the heck does that mean? So essentially, when our body is taking estrogen and wants to process it through the liver and get it out of the body, there's different pathways that it can go down. And some of these pathways are considered protective, and some of these pathways are considered a little bit more dangerous or cancer promoting. And so DIM helps your body to push estrogen down the pathway that's protective when it's moving through the liver detoxification phase. It also helps to prevent breast, uterine, and colorectal cancer, and is really great at helping with PMS. So again, in Reclaim, we have this blend. All of these work together to support healthy estrogen levels in your body. Then we have PMS and Mood Balancing Support Complex. I would say this is one of the most common things that you always hear women joking about, how much mood swings they have or how crappy they feel before their period. And so this is a really beautiful blend to support that. St. John's wort is an incredible supplement. There is so many studies that show that St. John's wort can be equally as effective in treating prevention, specifically PMDD, which is premenstrual depressive disorder, equally as effective as Prozac, which is one of the most common antidepressants. So you don't want to be taking these two things at the same time. But if you are experiencing low moods before your period, St. John's wort is a beautiful natural support. It is also really, really great for perimenopause and menopause and just all around. It's an all-around rock star, I'll say that. This also has white yam, which helps to benefit PMS, cramps, vaginal dryness, low libido, osteoporosis, all things that are also you're at higher risk of if you are on hormonal birth control. It also has astragalus, which is a beautiful adaptogen. Adaptogens are a category of herbs that help our body to deal with stressors. Astragalus is also immune boosting, anti-aging, who couldn't use that, as well as protects against heart disease. And zinc, which is so incredible for female health. It is really, really great for preventing painful periods, supporting immunity, supporting your thyroid, your sex drive, and your digestive health. So within this supplement, we have estrogen balance support, PMS and mood balancing support, and immune system and skin health complex. So these are really a broad spectrum of symptoms that a lot of women experience before their periods. And a lot of these symptoms are also exacerbated once you're coming off of the pill. So this is a really great supplement to take with Reset as well, so that you can support your body's hormone balance while coming off of the pill. So these would be some other general ways that you can support your body coming off of the pill, or some supplements and foods type of ways that you can help yourself. So high quality probiotic, again, we chatted about the importance of gut health. So a probiotic can really help to support microbiome diversity within your gut. If you are taking it just generally for support, you would want to look for a probiotic that's multi-strain. It will say right on the front, so that you're getting different strains of bacteria. Typically the single strains work really well when you're taking it for something specific. They both can be really helpful, but for general health, most people tend to do better with a multi-strain. Another thing you can do is eat prebiotic rich foods. So probiotics mean adding bacteria to our gut. Prebiotics are feeding your little gut guys. So eating a diet rich in prebiotics, again, this is fiber. So like apples, beans, seeds, nuts, legumes, veggies, cruciferous veggies is really helpful in supporting your overall gut health. Eating high quality protein sources is really great as well. We do need amino acids, which we get from protein, in order to support our hormone health and balance. And then supporting intestinal lining and integrity. So remember when we chatted about intestinal permeability or leaky gut, where your gut junctions are together? So N-acetylcysteine, which is in these beautiful supplements, as well as bone broth, can be really helpful in restoring the gut lining. And then things like ginger are really helpful if you experience any sort of like constipation from gut related issues. Ginger can really help to move things through your intestines. And as we mentioned before, digestive enzymes as well, to make sure you're supporting your body in breaking down and assimilating nutrients. Questions. So we have a couple more slides here, but I'm going to open up the chat on the side. And so if anybody has any questions, feel free to write them. Now I can see the chat window, and then I will do my best to answer them. Haven't had a cycle for 6 months after birth control, had one more cycle after that, and now waiting for another. Only had 2 cycles since going off in May. So May, what month are we in now? 5, 7. It can take some women up to 9 months to feel like their cycles are regular after hormonal birth control. If you do experience irregular cycles for longer than 9 months after transitioning off, it might be useful to consider doing some deeper testing. It could potentially be due to low progesterone. Again, we need progesterone in order to be able to ovulate. And once we ovulate, we have a period. So it could be, it's potential that your body was having what we call breakthrough bleeds, where you might have experienced bleeding without necessarily ovulating. So a really important question to ask when you have a missing cycle is, are you ovulating? And so there's different ways that you can test for ovulation. One really great way is to get a basal body thermometer, or just a regular thermometer, and you would record your temperature every morning. And once it spikes, it is a sign of ovulation. And then you would confirm with changes to cervical mucus. So ovulation mucus looks sticky if I was to wipe myself, and it would stretch between my fingers essentially. But you do really want to make sure that you are ovulating if you are missing your cycle, and support that. Some other ways that you can do that are making sure you're eating enough, specifically carbohydrates, really, really important for healthy ovulation and healthy progesterone levels. And then again, if it has been about like 9 months, 10 months, moving up to a year where your cycle still isn't regulated after birth control, it would be a good idea to get some testing done, such as a Dutch test, a saliva hormone test, just to see what's going on and see where your body is out of balance and why you might not be having it. Reduced sex drive on the pill, increased when I got off. Really common. Gut health. Oh, I saw something in the Q&A. Have been off for a month. Do you suggest both of those supplements? How long would you take reset for? Still waiting for a cycle. Reset, ideally you would want to start like 2 months before, but if you have come off, you can still take it once you're off for about like 2 months or 2 cycles of it. It will often take women a couple months to feel like they have a regular cycle after. So yes, both of these can be really helpful. I would especially recommend reset if you have just come off. Your body could still be learning how to like metabolize and and get rid of those hormones if there are excess in your body. And then really, really focusing on supporting your gut health as well, and coming back to like eating really nutrient dense foods. So when we're thinking about nutrient dense foods to support our hormones, I'm thinking about a balanced plate, which includes protein, whole food carbs. So these are things like sweet potatoes, rice, beans, legumes, high quality protein. So whether that's animal protein or a vegetarian source of protein like eggs, and really making sure that you're giving your body proper nutrition, as well as reset's really great, and just being patient, right? These things take time. Oh, I hope that you could hear me, because it says answer live. I did answer that. So if anyone else has any questions, oh, Matters is going to answer live.
I'll leave that one for you from Amanda. And then we've also got one in the chat window as well, Sarah.
Sweet. I'll open that. Can she hear when I answered it? Would you suggest to take reset even though I've been off for 6+ months? Reset can be helpful. Again, it would really come down to why you're not experiencing a cycle. So reset can be really helpful if some of the issues are related to issues with detoxification or support. I would really suggest taking Reclaim if you've been off for 6+ months, which also will have supports for progesterone levels as well. But again, it comes down to why you are still missing or not having a cycle. So are you experiencing any other symptoms aside from a missing cycle, like digestive issues, headaches, PMS related issues? Because that will give us more clues into what might be actually happening in your body. And then that will give us a good idea of how to start supporting it. Yeah, yeast infections are a really common symptom of bacterial vaginosis, which we chatted a little bit about. And this can be really affected by being on birth control. So Aeryon has an amazing supplement coming out soon, which is Up and Away, and it's a suppository which will help with your balance in your vagina, which is a really common underlying root cause of yeast infections as well. Some other things that you can do just acutely with your nutrition are taking a probiotic can be very helpful for that, as well as just cutting down on generally the amount of sugar you're taking in through your diet, which doesn't mean avoid altogether. I always like to say that it just means be mindful of that, and then managing your stress levels as well. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Does anyone else have any questions? You're welcome on anything that we chatted about. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about these supplements. So if you have questions like, would this supplement be good for me? What really is that supplement? How might it help? One of my favorite things about Aeryon's supplements, which is so helpful, is they have these QR codes on it. And I'm sure if you live in BC or Canada, you know QR codes, but this is really breakthrough technology for the supplement game. And Aeryon was actually given an offer from Dragon's Den for this specific technology. If you have your phone and you pull out the camera and you scan this, it will pop up and it will give you a 60-second video, which explains the product, explains the ingredients, and it also gives you other like holistic information. So there's meal plans attached to these. It will give you information on sleep hygiene. So if you were in the store and you were like, wait, I remember that one of these was really good, but I wasn't really sure which one. QR code is really great. Scan it, you get to watch the cute little video, and it gives you lots of information on the supplement from the video. I think I missed a slide. Nope. And then if you were interested in learning more about the 5 pillars of holistic health, I know we covered a lot of information today. It is nice to continue learning, right? Especially for having issues with our hormone health. It's good to start to understand the big picture of all of these other things that can play a role. So again, yeah, physical activity, right? If you are wanting to learn more maybe about the nutrition piece. On the Aeryon Wellness website, which is www.aeryonwellness.com, they do also have a newsletter which goes out, which talks more about the 5 pillars of holistic health we chatted about. They also have a YouTube, Facebook. You can connect on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also connect with me on my Instagram, Sarah Collins Wellness. I post a lot all about hormone health, digestive health, all the goodies as a female. So if you guys have any more questions, I will keep this open for a couple minutes. Other than that, the recording will go out. And if you have any questions that come up, maybe you want to rewatch this or go through your notes, you can always feel free to reach out to us and ask more questions as well.
And thank you so much, Sarah, and to Aeryon and Aeryon Wellness for such a great presentation. Anybody who's listening can also, if you do have questions afterwards about the Aeryon Wellness products discussed, stop into your local Nutters and talk to our vitamins manager or any one of our associates, and they would be happy to help you with any questions that you have. Thank you so much, guys. It was such an awesome presentation. You did so fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm just going to stop the recording.